again, everybody, and this is a very important lesson, right? Because we are learning about question tags. What are question tags? Question tags are efficient. They're very important. We use that when we don't want to make a question, but we want to make a question, right? So for example, if I want to know if you speak English, okay, I could make a question. I could say, do you speak English, right? But sometimes, especially in a conversation situation, we don't actually make the question. We go like this: you speak English, don't you? Right? So it's a very interesting way of making an affirmative or a negative become automatically a question without making the question, right? So it's very useful. It's very useful for speaking, right? So for example, in this case, you speak English. So we have a sentence in the present simple, right? And whenever we want to make a question tag like don't you, has he, won't they, right? We have to make the opposite from what the sentence is. We have to deny or affirm. For example, we have an affirmative. You speak English, don't you, right? So in this situation, we used do or does, which is the universal auxiliary for every verb in the present, and we deny it. We set in the negative. So you speak English, don't you, right? And for example, if I say you don't speak English, do you, right? So it's different. You have to deny the idea, right? So of course, in this situation we use do, because it's the universal auxiliary for every sentence in the present. But there are a lot of options. For example, in this second example, we have he hasn't recognized me, has she, right? What time verb have we used here? We use, of course, present perfect. Now you are a PhD on that, basically, right? So of course, the auxiliary verb here is has. It comes from have, but we are talking about the third person, so it's has, right? So we use present perfect in the negative. So when we do the question tag, we have to deny, even though we use the same time verb, right? So she hasn't recognized me. Has she? Okay. If it was the other way around, we could say, she has recognized me, hasn't she? Right? That's very nice. It's a trick. It's a trick for conversation, right? The next sentence is with the future using will. So they will go to Japan, won't they? This is affirmative. I used will in the negative, right? We could use the other way around. They won't go to Japan, will they? Okay, so that's basically it. You just deny the idea, maintaining the same time verb, right? But of course, there are some exceptions, okay? And the exceptions are basically three. For example, the first is when you have an imperative. Imperative is when you tell something or tell someone to do something, right? Open the door, do this, do that, call your mother, etc., etc. Whenever you have an imperative sentence, you use will all the time, always, 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 always. So for example, open the door, will you? Call your mother, will you? Turn on the air conditioner, will you? Okay, so you don't have to think. You just use will you, will you, will you, will you. I want you to pay attention to movies. They use it all the time, okay? The next exception is when you use let's, right? It's like an imperative for a lot of people, right? So let's start, shall we? In this case, it's like the first. You always use shall we. When you want to make people do something, you use this situation. So let's go to the beach, shall we, right? Let's start the test, shall we, right? You don't ever need to think, you just use shall we. And finally, when you have a sentence with I am, right? You don't have to use am again, you just use aren't I. Is allowed to make that mistake, right? So let's see, I am late, aren't I, right? So it's a mistake, but it's not a mistake, right? So it's not very common to say, I am late, am I Am I not? No, you say aren't I, right? So question tag is a trick for the conversation, right? That's it. Now let's move on to the expression. The first expression is to fill in, fill out, okay? So we all been through this situation. We have a form, right? When we want to apply for something, a college or I don't know, English school, right? And you have to write your name, write your address, write your age, your gender, etc., etc., etc. Those boring things, right? They always give you a form and you have to fill out, right? Fill out is like preencher, but when we talk about a form, some paper, right? For an application, something like that, or a survey. Okay, and fill in is slightly different. It's when we use to fill something. You all know that fill is the verb preencher, right? So for example, when you go to the gas station, you can fill in the tank, right? So it has the same idea of preencher, but it's slightly different, right? Interesting expression. This one is very nice to have to do with, okay? It's funny because we always use that in Portuguese too. We always say, isso aí tem nada a ver, isso tem a ver, isso, uma coisa tem a ver com outra, right? So they have a similar expression in English, have to do with, okay? This problem has nothing to do with you, okay? It's none of your business. It has nothing to do, okay? But sometimes you could say, okay, this subject has to do with the other subject, or this subject has to do with you, okay? This is very nice. You should learn that by heart. Use that all the time. I promise you, it's rewarding. To bear in mind is when you want to make an advice and you want to make a person never forget about something. So she has to literally bear in her mind, right? Don't forget. Bear in mind that our deadline is near. Ooh, it seems like a boss talking. So don't forget, bear in mind. Put that down in your mind, right? That's it. The next expression is to be or keep in touch with, okay? I don't know about you, but I still keep in touch with my friends from school. We always talk. It could be on WhatsApp, it could be in person, but I always keep in touch. It's funny because people say, oh, they think in Portuguese and they tend to translate. They say, oh, I have contact. Eu tenho contato com os meus amigos. No, this is wrong. You will never say that again in your life. You will say, I am in touch with my friends, or I keep in touch with my friends, okay? Now you know, never make that mistake again, right? And the next one is to be sick and tired of. I think a couple lessons ago, we learned the expression to be fed up with, okay? This is similar. You could be fed up with, or you could be sick or tired. You're sick and tired of something or somebody, right? That's common. Just remember that of is a preposition. So whenever you have a verb after a preposition, it comes in the gerund. I'm sick and tired of waiting for you. Okay, some people make us wait, right? So we are sick and tired of waiting for the person, right? There you go. And that's it for today. Thank you for one more lesson, and I see you next time.